make sure you guys go visit Silent X Energy. You get 10% off with the code IFC. They've got two flavors of energy drink. They're both absolutely delicious. Go make sure you follow them. Make sure you buy some of their stuff. It really helps us out. Of course, really helps them out as well. Make sure you use code IFC for 10% off at the checkout.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Race Merchants podcast. Today we have me, Carsey, we have Westy Dog, Aiden, and Tejay as well. So we're just recording this on the Wednesday, directly after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So obviously, first topic to cover in this will be the race itself and the circumstances surrounding it. So would anyone like to get us started on that?
I mean, I think I'll start, but I don't know what you guys' thoughts on, because of course with the missile strike, they say we racers won, no war in Ukraine, and allow a missile strike about 7 kilometers away from the track. It just seems a bit hypocritical to me.
Yeah, they completely contradict
allow
themselves.
A missile strike. F1 had nothing to do with a missile strike, obviously. They couldn't do much about it. Like, F1 are at the end of the day, it's a sport. They're not going to have a military grade operation. I think it's more the responsibility of the country, and that F1 choose to race at a country like Saudi Arabia. And I think the hypocrisy of saying you can't race in Russia because of war, but racing in Saudi Arabia, who's been at war for the past 50 years, is... I think it just shows how money driven everything is now, and it's all money orientated. Whatever will give the biggest profit will be the final decision, which is a bit of a shame, but I don't think it's a big surprise really to anyone.
I think they contradict themselves a bit though, because they said about no war and all that when they were in Bahrain, and at the same time Yemen was bombing Saudi Arabia. That wasn't the first attack they had done in that time, because only a week ago they'd bombed another facility close to the track, so they kind of contradict themselves.
30 years.
Huh?
Oh, and also Saudi Arabia, only I think 2 or 3 weeks before the race, they executed 81 people.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And they just completely got swept under the radar. No one really cared. But it's that kind of thing that, yeah, Saudi Arabia are doing it all the time, yet we still race there, and it just doesn't seem right.
I think in our Western world, a lot of people just don't seem to care about that all that much, because it's got such a disconnect to our own society, and that's to our detriment. We should care a lot more about situations like this. But I'd say before this race happened, a lot of people didn't even know about what was going on in that country, and that the F1 race and the missile strike is the only reason we do. So yeah, I don't think the race should have went ahead. Obviously, there was some kind of reassurance that it would be safe to get the drivers to change their mind after that meeting. But I don't know if I was there and I saw a missile strike on an Aramco base 7 miles from the track while the race is sponsored by Aramco. I'm not sure anything that could really say would have convinced me to want to hang about there. You know what I mean?
No, I think there's no way they could have guaranteed the safety of the drivers. Nothing. No. They couldn't. They do not have the facilities to defend from a missile strike like this. It's just not.
They were. Saudi Arabia were F1 were talking to the Saudi Arabian defense minister and making sure that would be okay. But I think also another reassurance was the fact that Friday was the anniversary of an attack that Saudi Arabia did on Yemen. So that's the only reason they were attacking on that exact day. I think there was just kind of a hope that they wouldn't attack again.
I don't think it was
next day. So why would they?
I think it was that it coincided with the F1. I don't think it was coincidence that it was the same day F1 was there. I think that was very intentional, as it brought a lot of public eye on the attack, and especially if you think we had no idea that this was a conflict until now, and it's because they did it at the same time as the F1. And so it's kind of exactly what they wanted.
Well, what I found interesting was the drivers' meeting after FP2. A lot of them had gone to that drivers' meeting, sitting in their race suits, and they left at 1 o'clock in the morning. So all the grid was there in their race suits for about 5 hours meeting, and then something was said that obviously changed their minds that they still wanted to carry on with the race. And I just can't believe that they carried on with it, to be honest.
I wonder how much
Wasn't
they
there
really knew about the
reports?
situation.
Well, no, but wasn't there reports that they were kind of pressured into it by the team principals? But then the team principals, of course, are pressured into it by the owners. So it's
I
I think
they
it's
said that
might have been a
it wouldn't be easy
spiral.
for them to leave or something. They wouldn't be easy to leave the country
Think
if they didn't carry on.
To me, surely it makes far more sense that it would be the owners of F1. I can't imagine the team principals massively pressuring them, but definitely the owners of F1, Liberty Media. I don't see why the team principals would be so pressurizing with it, to be honest.
But it's also quite interesting with Ross Brawn and Stefano Domenicali actually going into the meeting. It's meant to be just kind of a drivers only talk normally, which of course they have every week, every race. They just talk between them, have a meeting. But then because Domenicali and Brawn have walked in and kind of talked to them, I think that shows to everyone involved that those two are kind of the spearheads of keeping it going. Now, whether they were pressured by their higher ups, we won't know, but it's kind of a situation where it's quite clear F1 was involved highly.
Yeah, Domenicali seemed very, very wanting to push for it to continue on. And I do believe, so I believe the meeting started with the drivers and the team bosses and all that, and then they all left to let the drivers discuss among themselves, and then they came back to say what the drivers had decided. The drivers still had decided they don't want to race until whatever was said at that point, which was at around 1 a.m. That allowed their minds to be changed and the decision to be made. I'm just wondering, had that went on for longer, at what point, even if they do decide to go, are the drivers too sleep deprived to be able to compete, driving cars around a tight street circuit at 200 mile an hour? Because I personally can't function with less than 12 hours sleep. So
it's a night race, in fairness, so they had
Yeah.
about 12 hours.
It's a Friday.
So
It wasn't the
they could have
Saturday,
slept in the morning. Yeah, they could have slept in the morning, waited for FP3, and then head out for qualifying.
yeah, I think I would have just skipped FP3. I would have just had a bit of a lie in or something. I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Right, Joanne, should we go on to the race itself? Verstappen won. Good battle with Leclerc. What's your thoughts on it?
I guess I'll start with this. I thought it was a great race. As much as I think it shouldn't have happened in the first place, and I don't want to say I'm happy that it did, but everyone has left safe, and we had a good, entertaining race. My heart goes out to Perez. He really showed his worth in that quali. I saw a fun fact that Perez has only ever out-qualified Max as his teammate on the second race of the championship, because he did at Imola last year. I think he may have out-qualified him once or twice when Max was, like, say, in Russia when he didn't qualify. But in terms of a straight-up battle when they were both trying their hardest, Perez has only ever out-qualified him in the second race of the season. So maybe
Well, I also saw a fact which is actually quite sad, which is that the Lord Pastor Maldonado is actually the last driver to convert their first pole position into a win. Of course, Perez almost robbed by the safety car on Sunday, but Pastor Maldonado being the last one to win off their first pole position just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know why.
Pastor Maldonado had a fairly poor career apart from one weekend in Barcelona where he was near perfect. I really don't know how that happened, but yeah. Anyways, what I was saying about Perez, yeah, he managed that first stint excellently. We've never really seen Perez just front running, if you know what I mean, just driving his race at the front, maintaining the pace, and he did it pretty much as well as you could imagine. Just got horrendously unlucky with the Latifi factor in the race that I think all teams are now going to have to include in their strategy meetings. Just when's Latifi going to crash? And obviously Red Bull hadn't quite calculated that one right. They were about a lap off, because I'm sure that was what was going on in their mind there. Yeah, Perez got pretty screwed over, but it happens. That I'm annoyed about it, but it's not like, oh, it's robbery or whatever. Like, people lose out from safety cars all the time. But yeah, it's just annoying that with his first pole, he was looking so promising that it would happen. But it is what it is.
Was that in that first stint, he was the fastest man on track, and he was able to gap the other three of Leclerc, Sainz, and Verstappen. But then when he was unlucky with a safety car, and then he came back out, he was dropped by all of them. He kind of kept with Sainz, but Leclerc and Verstappen were clearly faster, and he was never that close to pressuring Sainz, which I found interesting.
Yeah, the power rankings, Formula One, like, do this thing on their app, like on a Tuesday, and Perez was ranked 4th, and he was equal with George Russell for the rankings, which I found just bizarre.
George
because I thought
Russell,
it was brilliant.
I think Perez should be a lot higher
Yeah,
than that.
He should definitely
He
be
definitely
higher.
drove
And
better
George,
than Sainz.
I mean, George just did like what was
George
expected
just sat
of
there
him,
and had his own
basically.
race. Yeah.
I mean, he did fine, but like
Yeah, George did what was expected, but he didn't really do any more than that.
it was
Like, he's in the third fastest car, and he finished
nothing
fifth.
massively special from George.
Yeah.
But it would just, I'd say, what you would
It
expect.
was very, very solid.
He was
He
equally
did
ranked
well,
with
but
Lando Norris, which I found, again, bizarre. Because he had a good
Norris
race, he
drove
finished
well.
P7.
He did,
Perez,
yeah,
I thought,
Norris
was the
did
best of the weekend.
Yeah,
I
I think you could possibly give Perez the highest to everyone. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Obviously, there's a difference in running in his first stint with dirty air and whatever, and if he would have come out in front after the safety car, everyone would have sort of had to go at least somewhat similar to his pace rather than being able to get away. I'd say a lot of his lack of pace could it'll be one of two things: either just he can't get those what were the hard tires heated up the same way as he could get the mediums, or you just couldn't get them in the same operated way, or it's just to do with being stuck behind Sainz. Because I believe he stayed at around 2.5 seconds behind him. And I remember at one point in the first stint, it was Perez, and then 2.4 behind him was Leclerc, and then 2.4 behind him was Verstappen, and 2.4 behind him was Sainz. So they seemed to be fairly equidistant.
I think it might be something to do with fatigue as well, because of course Perez, he's not as young as those other guys, so therefore probably isn't quite as fit, not quite as healthy, and it's such a physically demanding track. After a while, you're going to be starting to wear out, especially when you're leading and you're keeping the pace and you're kind of pushing your hardest to stay ahead of Leclerc. It's going to take a lot out of you. So I think that might have been a factor as well in terms of he just didn't have the pace afterwards.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I don't think.
Shape.
Yeah, I don't think it would affect him that much because Hamilton is still, like, him and Alonso as well, are still driving at obviously a very, very high level. So I don't think that would be a huge factor why Perez dropped off. But yeah, I mean, it was a shame for him because I thought he was on for his first win of the season.
Yeah, I was thinking it too. I didn't really expect him to have the pace that he ended up having after quali, because as he said, he hit pretty much the lap of his life with 1,000 attempts. He wouldn't be able to beat it, and yet he only beat Leclerc by like a quarter of a tenth. So that made me think that Ferrari most definitely had the better car. But yeah, at least for quali. But Red Bull's race pace surprised me, to be honest. Yes, they do have the advantage of those last two sectors with their great straight line speed, and that's just fast forwarding a bit in the race. It's probably why Max won it. But yeah, I think both Red Bull drivers drove pretty impeccably this weekend. Obviously Perez slightly more in quali and Max slightly more in the race.
The DRS
just that straight line speed from the Red Bull makes it so raceable. Even if they're not quite on the pace, that straight line speed is just enough to always keep them with it, and it always makes them dangerous. Whereas,
exactly.
Although maybe over one lap that Ferrari is a little bit quicker, it's always vulnerable when you just look at how much slower it was on the straights compared to Max. And when Max just like dumped that battery, Verstappen, Leclerc was kind of helpless. And then you saw when he was trying to get back at him, he looked like he was a bit faster, but when he got to the straight, he wasn't gaining even that much with the DRS.
I have to say that I think I saw reports that Ferrari have turned down their engine for the first couple of races just to see where they are in terms of reliability and that kind of thing. So
I don't know. That sounds like such bollocks, though.
Maybe later on in the season, yeah, it does sound a bit idiotic.
And it was some Italian journalist, like
maybe later on in the season, in a couple of races' time, we'll see the engine's true pace, so we can probably see, or they'll just stay the same because that person was lying. We'll find out.
Okay, I was also reading that the Merc engineers believe that the engine is not the massive issue. They might be losing 1 to 2 tenths in power unit deficit, but I think the main problem is drag, and that they're going to have will be taking a brand new rear wing to Australia, which they hope can rectify this. They've said, I think. I don't know if they've said it publicly or if it was just said.
Yeah, I do.
That's what I've read.
The whole Mercedes car is actually an interesting topic if we segue onto that, because the Mercedes car is it's all of the team principals have said that it's legal with the no side pods, and it's not very
I
good.
don't think that's questioned anymore yet.
Yeah.
Thing is, F1
Was Red Bull's
the
case-
FIA.
Go on.
Sorry, Tejay?
The FIA have said, I've heard that Mercedes are having to talk to the FIA to try and keep their car legal for next year, because the FIA want to ban it for next year. They want to cut it away, remove it. You can't do that, and that would backtrack from lots of Mercedes work that they've been doing. They think there's a lot of potential in it. About 1.3 seconds, I think it is, that they can find with that. They just need a little bit of time to get it.
Such a meaningless number. They have no idea how much time's in it.
I mean, that's coming from the guy who created
those
gas,
quads, you can
DRS,
get about
and
1.3
W
out of
wings,
that.
and double diffuser.
I'm saying they don't know how much they can get out of having they have no idea.
Yeah.
They definitely have some kind of idea, or else they
we
wouldn't
can
have
get
done it.
1.3 seconds out of that.
They've got some kind of idea, or else they wouldn't have done it. Like, Mercedes aren't idiots, and they have wind tunnel. They have a lot of money. They've seen something that has made them think this is the best idea. I believe Ferrari said that they thought about it and decided against it, so that could be them being quicker.
Haas said
Was it
more
Haas?
about it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very interesting. But they said
I've heard
did they
it.
say
I
they
heard
thought
it
it wasn't... I think he said something like we didn't have enough resources to pursue it or something, which I thought was very interesting.
He said that Gunther Steiner said that they saw it and then didn't think it was worth pursuing. It would take up. Yeah.
He said that, although we saw potential, we thought it would take too many resources from us, which means that he probably thinks a team with the resources of Mercedes could make it work, which I found interesting.
Yeah. Which might be why the FIA is trying and get it banned, because maybe the FIA have realised that there's a lot of potential in it as well. But...
I think the general idea of it is that because these cars are so shit through the slow corners, I think it is supposed to be a much nimbler car through the slow corners. Although I don't know if that's really been shown yet in the races or not. But
I don't know. I believe so. I think.
When's Monaco?
3 weeks later. Got Australia, then Imola, and then Monaco, I think.
It's Australia, then Imola, then Miami.
Miami. Yeah.
But Miami has quite a lot of slow corners. So
that might be interesting.
The DRS has been
see.
a hot topic the last this week because Verstappen and Leclerc had an interesting moment going to the final turn. People have said it should the use of DRS should be limited. What's your thoughts around the DRS right now?
Here's my thought is that if you have two DRS zones which are separated by one corner, so they're back to back, like the final DRS zone at Jeddah and then the pit straight DRS zone, they shouldn't have separate detection zones because it's way too easy for the person who's just been overtaken to overtake them straight back. I think with the new regs, there is a small enough amount of dirty air that they will be able to stick with the car in front, and that you don't need to and that they can continue battling. But I think it's kind of dumb that it's so easy for a car to instantly re-overtake someone who's just overtaken them.
See, I'd like to see a system like IndyCar where they have push to pass and you get 150 seconds of it per race. If you were to have a rule on DRS, you can use it anywhere you want, but you only get a certain amount of time, then that could add I think, some more strategy into it and possibly some more passes. But yeah,
Fair enough. They already have that with overtake on the DRS deployment, and it's just because like it's not as like public, so we don't really know exactly how they're using it, but it is a massive effect, and like it is fairly powerful. It's just not. They just tend to use it in similar places. Like I don't know how to explain it. I feel like that does pretty much already exist.
I think the main problem with the DRS was just having the detection zone before the corner instead of after it. I think if they just had the detection zone after the corner, you can't just sit and brake and play, DRS chicken or whatever. I think
it would be better if they had it like, at Mexico for the pit straight and then the second straight where it's just one detection zone.
That is, either would work. I don't really mind.
I think it would be better like that.
The main problem was having the DRS detection zone right before the corner because you brake going into it because you want DRS after the corner. I thought the racing was good from it. It allowed the battle to actually keep happening, but I didn't like them both braking like in the straight to try and get it. I don't think that should be what racing is all about. I think if you see two people braking on a straight instead of trying to get ahead of the other one, then you've done something wrong. But apart from that, I kind of like the way they were able to keep battling, and I think that would have been fixed just by having the detection zone after the corner
instead
of before.
Is it possible to have the detection zone just at the DRS line? Is that possible?
Oh, I doubt it.
I wouldn't say so.
I don't know. You'd think with how advanced the technology is.
I think it'd be good though. I don't know. I just don't think it would be as good.
So
I think
don't have any reasoning behind it.
Just a vibe.
Having like no detection. Can you deploy DRS without going past the detection point? Obviously not now, but could you do it effectively?
Could you what?
Could you open DRS even not past the detection point?
Well, back in the early 2010s, DRS and quali, you could just open it at any stage you want over the lap, like all the time. But
someone said on Twitter
in the race, no, because in 2013 in Canada, I remember it was Hamilton and Alonso played DRS chicken with each other just the same way we saw Max and Leclerc. So
you know what Tejay's talking about.
I know.
There was definitely a detection zone back then. There was most definitely a detection zone because I can remember it quite well.
Someone said on Twitter that I was trying to find it because I can't remember exactly what he said, but having DRS, but you don't have to pass the detection point. So, say now Leclerc and Verstappen are battling, even the car ahead could use DRS, but they're limited to the number of times they could use DRS for the race. So you'd have to play.
That was never a thing. That was definitely never a thing.
I don't know if it would be if it could work either, but someone said it. I thought. No, it could work, so it would stop them braking on a straight to get the DRS, and it's all about strategy then, and when you deploy your DRS and stuff like that.
To be honest, I just quite think DRS is fairly fine as is, and it's needed in the sport for overtakes. And the only thing you need to do is just revise DRS detection zones and make sure they make sense and don't allow stuff like that where people will be braking on a straight. I think that's
a massive issue.
Yeah, I think that's all you need to do, really. I
think it's the problem. People are always going to complain about something. They need something to complain about, and I feel like it's not that big of an issue for how much is being talked about. To be honest,
I guess. Yeah, I guess you're right with that.
So Hamilton and being knocked out in Q1 is probably not something we all expected, right?
Exactly.
No. I'm saying he's really not up to speed right now, is it? Especially Russell as well. He got into Q3, so I don't expect anything different from the cars.
And a thing I saw a lot of people saying, he had a dreadful setup or whatever, but he didn't change the setup because he was in Parc Fermé, or at least didn't make any big changes to the setup, and was fairly okay in the race. So I think he really did just mess up quali or just couldn't get it hooked up. His race pace was similar to Russell's.
Is Andrew Shovlin chief engineer?
Yeah, something like that anyway.
He was saying that they were George and Lewis were running very different setups, basically in different directions in an attempt to minimise the porpoising, is what he said.
Right.
So, and
Who said that?
Andrew Shovelin, I think his name is.
Yeah, Andrew Shovelin.
Oh.
And I think, what was I saying? I've lost my train of thought now.
It's a good point, Aiden. Right.
Oh, he said basically they just went the wrong way. He said I don't know how true this is, if they're just trying to save face for Lewis, and because obviously if they don't want to see Lewis
that's
just
what
shit today.
Yeah.
But he said that they just went the wrong way of Lewis's setup in. They're just making desperate attempts to try and fix their insane porpoising issues, which from the onboards are quite crazy, but
they clearly didn't change much because they didn't break Park Fermi rules, and he was fine in the race. So
yeah, they said the heavy fuel helped them.
Yeah, so I would assume he did just sort of mess up a bit, which it happens to everyone. It's not Lewis being washed up. It's not young George being much better than him. Everyone, every so often, will just have a dreadful qualifying session. It's just such a shock when it happens to Lewis because it's so rare.
Yeah,
I believe they said
definitely looked a handful for him.
The last time Hamilton got knocked out of Q1 on raw pace was Britain 2009.
That was a pretty terrible car for that McLaren as well.
Well, it was terrible for the first half, and then it was the second best car for the second half of the season, and then won a few races.
Double diffuser in.
Yeah, but the first half, that thing was bottom 5. Like, it's crazy that he's never really had a bad car. Obviously, some of it is him bringing cars up to a level that they shouldn't be because he is just an insane driver, but it's a testament to how good his career choices have been as well, because if you match that with someone like Alonso or someone like Ricciardo, who just seem to have always went to the wrong place, he's done a fantastic job for himself. Like,
car Lewis has ever had.
What's right?
This is the worst car that Lewis has ever had. Worse than 2013 Merc was better than this one.
Yeah, it was the second best car.
Yeah, Merc came second.
Yeah, but to be fair, when you say second best, everyone was pretty, no one was remotely close to the Red Bulls.
No one was remotely close to Vettel. They all beat Webber.
Mercedes
although they were second, no one was close.
But it's still they weren't definitely as far off the top cars, and also they had less people to beat, so they were getting a few race wins, podiums, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
so
he's got 2 wins that season, I think.
No, he got 1. Rosberg got 2, I believe.
I thought it was the other way around, but okay.
No, I could be wrong, but I think Rosberg got 2 and Lewis got 1.
I think Lewis only got 1 that year.
Yeah. But it's very surprising to see Lewis out in Q1. He got lucky and unlucky in the race. Obviously, lucky so many people ahead of him ended up retiring. Unlucky with the fact that he couldn't enter the pit lane, or could he, and he chose not to. I don't think he was able to.
He wasn't able to because his team came out, but he was told to pit when he was going past the start finish line, so he physically couldn't pull in unless he decided to create a hole in the wall, not a wall in the hole. But I mean, he was saying afterwards that he couldn't keep up with the Haas in a straight line. So something clearly going on with drag with them, and as you say, they're cutting down. But it seems like a massive issue, that drag, and something
Ferrari PU does also look quite mighty, to be fair.
Yeah, but also that Australia's track, obviously we're heading there next. They've updated it to be quite high speed, of course, taking out that chicane and rounding off some corners. It's going to be more high speed than it was before. So would that mean that that Mercedes are going to struggle even more with more drag? I think we could see another bad week for Mercedes.
Could be right, to be honest.
Yeah, it's quite a high speed track. I can't see Mercedes going well again this weekend. Nothing's come out to show that they will be.
They have a floor upgrade, no? They have a floor upgrade coming?
Is that wrong?
We don't know if it's an upgrade, but they have a new rear wing.
They have a lot of upgrades. They have a lot of upgrades coming.
Yeah, but we don't know how many of those are going to actually make the car better,
Yeah,
Right
they're just
now,
new.
For them-
To be
for
fair,
them
they haven't
to
said
be-
anything's definitively better.
Yeah, for them to be pushing so much out means they seem somewhat desperate to just try find something that will help improve the car. We'll see though. I will not be surprised.
They're working round the clock.
Yeah.
They're working
I will
round the
not be
clock.
surprised if that Mercedes is the fastest car at the end of the season. I just think it might be a bit too late for them to mount a title challenge.
Kits.
I also think that, well, what happens if the FIA does ban their car? Then they have to completely
Back to
redevelop,
square one, yeah.
go in a
back to
different
square
direction.
one.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
back
think
to
they'll be
square
anywhere
one.
next season.
I don't see why they would do it though. It's not like it's such
It's
a
within the
dominant
rules, isn't it?
concept.
They're
It's
trying
within
it.
the rules. I think it would
They're
be
trying to
massively
ban it.
harsh for them to ban the concept because it's not detrimental to the sport in any way.
No.
Right
seems
now,
weird.
To my
but that's what they're
eyes,
trying.
I think it's ugly as sin. It's detrimental to my eyes. I'm glad they're getting rid of it, or at least they're trying to.
right now on car performance, is the Haas ahead of the Mercedes? Is what I want to know.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
I was saying earlier, I think to Tejay and Aiden, if or was I? I don't know who I was saying it to. I was saying it to someone. If Magnussen didn't come into the sport and Mazepin would still be there, Haas would be on 0 points right now, and we'd
Yeah.
be thinking they
They would.
haven't made that much of an improvement. You know, those guys would be in 0 points.
It's
So
be improved, but
yeah,
Not to
they're
the level
definitely
that we've seen.
improved, but they'd be on 0 points with Aston Martin and Williams, or Aston
I
Martin
have
and
to
Williams.
say no. I think though as well. Like if you think like this has shown us that Mick Schumacher isn't actually anything that special. He just was
Yes.
against Mazepin last year.
Yes, Mick has always taken a year to get used to cars historically, so I'll give him I'll give him the next season, and if he's still this far
Might not-
off Magnussen,
You might not
then
have to next season.
he will. He's his surname Schumacher. He absolutely
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
I was never massively
but-
impressed with Nick, to be honest.
I was
No.
in his second
I
season
never
of
thought
F2.
he was like nailed that future world champion for sure. I never
No,
thought he was that level.
no. Yeah, I think he'll be
I think
a race.
I think it
winner.
was a weak. I think it was a weak class. I think it was a weak F2 season. I have to say. I think
It
it
wasn't
was.
massively weak. It had some good drivers. Sonoda looked very strong in that F2 grid.
Yeah.
And they also
I
had
just-
Callum
I just-
Hylott, who I think is strong.
I just feel like it wasn't as strong. If you look at this year in comparison, it's ridiculous. It was a very weak grid. Because of course this year you have Lawson, Vips, Hauger, Daruvala. That's just the Red Bull Juniors, Awasa.
I don't think it's that weak.
Drogovic,
I don't think it's that bad.
Moshon.
Is this mix F2 grid?
Oh, no,
No,
I think
this-
Westy was
this is
talking about
the
the
current
current
one.
F2 grid.
Mix F1. Mix was Giotto, Mazepin.
Schwartzman.
Sonoda,
Tsunoda,
Eilert,
Schwartzman.
Schwartzman.
I
Mick
yeah,
had
Schwartzman was in
good
there.
competition in that season.
I feel. I don't know. Eilert didn't turn out to be anything too special either. I don't know whether you guys follow IndyCar, but yeah.
Well, we'll give him some time, but Schumacher, he's definitely on F1 on merit. I mean, he won F3 and F2, but I don't think many people saw him as a future champion. I think he'll maybe get a few podiums and win a race once he has a somewhat decent car, and I think once he gets used to this Haas, he'll be at least somewhat near Magnussen. Obviously, we haven't really got to properly see it because he got spun out of lap 1 in Bahrain and he wasn't able to race in Jeddah, but hopefully we'll start to see better from Mick soon.
I think it'll come good for him. You'd have a good year.
I
think so.
can't see why would a massive team take Mick at the moment. I don't
If
see a
any team
really
will
strong
take
team.
Ferrari.
Mick Schumacher,
Fake
he's
team,
our guy.
Because his surname, that's why
Yeah.
they'll take him.
Don't
Because of
think
his
A,
surname.
I
big,
feel like
a,
Mick
big,
had more of
a big team wouldn't.
Ferrari wouldn't take him just because.
Just his name, they wouldn't.
I honestly think Ferrari got Sainz in for maybe 1 or 2 years to keep the seat warm for Mick, and now Sainz really impressed last season, and they now don't really know what to do.
Just a little unfair on Sainz. So I think
agree with that.
I think the reason people underestimated Sainz is because they also underestimated Norris.
Yeah, I think that's
I
true.
agree.
Because people
They
were like, yeah,
hit,
Norris,
they
you
hit
know,
each other.
good young driver, but like, and then Sainz, you know, just about beat him, but you know, fair enough. And then
You
I
wiped
think
before
it just
Ricardo.
shows that they're both, especially now that that Lando is dominating Danny Rick and how strong he's
They
looked at.
masked each other. they masked each other 100%.
Yeah, because also Sainz didn't have an incredible early career. Like he was kind of meh at Renault. Did he got beat at Toro Rosso by Max?
Yeah, but he gave him a decent challenge now that we know who Max has turned out to be.
Yeah.
He did well.
But at the time, of course, that was disgraceful because he's been beaten by a 17-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that,
but it's
at the time,
this season he aged well.
Yeah, but at the time, everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's useless. He's been beaten by a 17-year-old driver. Like, this is just useless. What are you meant to do with him?" Kind of thing. But yeah, he's definitely.
I think he also has just improved a lot though. Like his Renault run wasn't particularly impressive.
No. Apparently, Sainz is like one of the hardest workers. Yeah, he definitely puts the time in, so he deserves whatever he gets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
Like I'd assume that he probably puts more work in than Charles. Just Charles is so ridiculously naturally talented.
Yes. His
That
raw
can
pace.
guide him.
And
Yeah.
you can tell that from the way that Sainz will, as you watch the practice session, Sainz will always just about be able to match Leclerc, but Leclerc seems to do it first lap.
Yeah.
And Sainz almost does it on his fourth attempt or so.
Yeah.
And I think Charles just has such a natural talent, but I think Carlos Sainz is an incredibly intelligent driver.
Yeah.
But
It's like the Prost Senna kind of thing.
yeah, I think to an extent that's true. And I think when you
Senna
see things
just had a skill.
in an out-and-out
Prost
battle,
was
Charles will win.
ridiculous.
In just raw pace, who's quicker, Charles wins. But I think when things get a bit more tricky, when it's not so clear, when it's a bit of a dirtier race, or it's a bit of a safety cars, it's rain, it's transit. I think that's when you see Carlos. His intelligence, his brain will come in.
Yeah, I think that's why Carlos outscored him last season when there were midfield cars where there's more chaos going on, whereas now this season it's looking like Charles a much better driver just because Charles now will have much less to worry about, whereas before there's always chaos going on in there, and every time that happens it seems to be that Carlos comes out the best from it.
Yeah, but if Merc step up and then you've got 6 cars all fighting for the same piece of track, then maybe that fades more into Sainz's wheelhouse.
Or maybe he has step up, and then you've got 5 cars plus Mick if he improves. So
5 cars.
Mick?
I think Mick will stay firmly around P9, P10, P11 for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
What do you think the chances are?
He's the only driver who hasn't scored points on the grid though, which is actually quite.
In his career.
Yeah, in the career.
Yeah, he's the only one who hasn't scored any points in their career.
Because Joe got it in his first race, didn't he?
Joe's been very good his last 2 races. I've been impressed by him. I've
been massively surprised.
Yeah.
He's been dropped by Bottas.
Very mature, very mature driver. I mean, you can see that in his he doesn't take long to adapt to cars because every single time you see his F2 seasons and.
But he was pretty dead in F2 though.
He got second last season. He was rather inconsistent.
He got third. He got beaten by Schwartzman.
Third last season.
He was rather
in an
inconsistent.
OK grid in his third year of F2.
In fairness, though, I think Bahrain though is his track because he absolutely dominated Bahrain last season in F2.
Much like Tsunoda.
I think Bahrain is just a very good track for him because you do it in F3, F2, and then of course you do it in F1 as well. It's a track that he's used to.
He was doing all right at Jeddah until some weird shit happened with his penalty.
Yeah, he just kept getting
No, he had a 5 second, and then the team didn't serve it properly. I watched it and thought it was weird, and then they didn't say anything about it. But they lifted it. I swear they don't normally jack the car up before the 5 seconds, right?
No.
Yeah, they don't.
No, I don't.
But I remember watching it. They jacked up his car, and then they counted the 5 seconds. Then they changed the tyres. And I thought that was kind of odd when I watched it. And then they gave him a drive-through or something, a 10-second stop-go, for not serving his penalty properly, and I think it must have been that.
He had a terrible start, and he was last, I think, on lap 1.
I don't think it's his fault. I don't think the start's his fault.
No, even his fault. Race starts.
But
no, because him and Bottas both complain about this clutch issue they have.
Yeah.
In F2, he wasn't a great starter though either. It's not
I don't think it's the starts of a car because both drivers complain about the same clutch issue with the starts.
Yeah,
there's definitely something wrong with that. The starts not car.
He was last after lap 1. He had the drive-through and the 5-second penalty, and then I think he still finished 11th in the race, and he was winning far off points.
He's been fairly anonymous in both his races and somehow just ended up in a decent spot.
And
He's like me.
He's like you, yeah, in your league races.
You know, like sometimes I watch the stream back and Westy will be like, "Oh, Aiden's P5. How do you get there?"
Yeah.
It'll be like 4 laps left, and no one's seen me the whole race, and then I just end up in P5 somehow.
Yeah, that's pretty much his career so far. He's doing the Aiden experience, and you driving it off Romeo.
Yeah, exactly. I have a good time in that for a minute. I think Bottas will always have his number in quali because Bottas is actually a fairly strong qualifier.
Great qualifier, yeah. He's a
But
great
qualifier. He's always been close to Hamilton as well.
Yeah, and he hasn't been massively outclassed in the race by Bottas yet, and he's only been in an F1 car first 2 races. So I've definitely been pleasantly surprised by Joe, to be fair.
Do you think that Bottas can beat the record? Because of course he's getting closer and closer to the record of most consecutive Q3 appearances.
The record and how many has he got?
What? You know what? I don't know. But it's something
If he has to
like
do 10 more, then no. If he has to do 1 more, then probably.
No, he has to do quite a lot more.
Then
but he's getting closer. It's a way away.
That is a top,
it's too much of a midfield car
every single week, I think.
Yeah.
We could see.
I think it's too much of a midfield car that.
Go on.
There will be a track where just Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Haas are just better because it's a midfield car and it will change track to track.
Yeah.
And there will just be one where he's 12th or something, and that's just where the car is. Because he's decent at quali, but he's not Senna. He's not going to pull out some god lap. He's just decent in quali. Like he's a strong qualifier, but he's not going to pull some magic out.
Haas, I think. Coming to Australia, right, I think Haas are going to be very good this weekend because they've always gone like really well at Australia. 2018, they had them like pit stop errors, but their pace was brilliant. 2019, that was a dog.
Okay, you're already saying that because the years they've been terrible, we didn't go to Australia.
No, 2019. No, 2019. It was a dog of a car, and I think you got like 3 points.
Not as bad as 21. Though, not even close.
They're 3 points are you, and then but they were brilliant in Australia. So could we see?
Has 3 points in 2019.
Yeah, like something like that. I think 2 or 3.
I thought they got like 4th in Austria.
It was
was that 2018?
2018, no, it was 2019.
Was that 2018? I could be wrong.
With the battle being so close with Alfa Romeo and Alpine, that could be like the battle for 4th this year. Haas, Alpine, Alfa Romeo. So
yeah.
I think this weekend Haas are going to be really strong this weekend.
I think Haas are going to need Mick to step up if they, because at the moment it's 2 against 1. Because Ocon and Alonso are looking fairly strong this season. But
yeah, both of them are.
Mick
that's a good driver lineup. Yeah, that's
although
a good
he had
driver
like
lineup.
a really nasty crash, it was ultimately a crash that was his fault.
Yeah.
Like he messed up in the quali, and the team are going to pay quite a big price for it with all the repair they're going to have to do, and the fact that he wasn't able to race or qualify because of it.
It was reported that crash costed $1 million or pounds, whatever.
Yeah.
For Haas.
I read that they could salvage the chassis and power unit, but everything else was scrapped.
You'd be fuming if you were them, like, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not even allowed to be angry because he got hurt, so you have to be like, "Oh, it's okay." Can't be angry at him because he hurt himself.
Right, guys. I've just found the facts from earlier. So obviously it's Ayrton Senna that holds it. He's got 137, and Bottas has got like 102.
102.
The Q3.
103.
Senna had 137 Q3 appearances in a row.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Senna did 137 races.
He did 10 years, didn't he? 84 to 94.
Yeah.
No, Bottas won't beat that. No, he's got to get another 34 Q3 appearances.
Yeah, he's got
to
keep going throughout the season a bit.
Yeah, not happening.
But he's only the third person to get more than 100.
Rocket to the back of their car. It's not. He'll crash in one of them.
New fan car.
He'll do a Carsey and just crash in Q1.
What are you talking about?
He's done that at least twice.
Austria.
Austria and
Austria.
Monza. That's the only 2 times
I
I've
remember
done it.
Austria. I
I
remember
did it
Austria.
only
You
two
literally
times.
like you were
Only
coming
2 times. I've
out
only
for a
crashed
pointless
in
lap,
twice, guys.
and I'm just like, oh, he crashed. Lovely.
I bet you
It
in
was
both
so
of those sessions you
unnecessary.
already had a lap good enough to get you through as well.
He
I
did.
did.
He did.
Not in Monza. It was my first run, to be fair. But in Austria,
Well,
I did.
You
In
couldn't just
Austria,
chill out a
he
bit on
didn't
the
just
first
crash.
run.
Well, I thought it was chilling out. It was in the rain and just hit the wall.
Well, yeah, that's how most crashes go, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just hit the wall, didn't I?
How
If I
that
didn't hit the
one
wall,
went.
it wouldn't have been a problem.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Right,
Blame
You should
the
try
wall
that
on
next time.
yourself.
Just don't hit the wall.
Just blame the wall. Don't blame yourself.
Mick should have done that.
Yeah. So, guys, if there wasn't a wall there, it wouldn't have been a problem. So stop yelling at me.
Latifi's been doing that all weekend.
Yeah,
Guys, why are these
Who put that-
walls here?
Who put this fucking wall here, man?
It's really ruined my day.
Do you know think it's weird how every time when someone crashes, they go, "Oh fuck!" Then they normally give like a mild explanation. Oh, I lost the rear. And every time Latifi crashes, he goes, "I've got a fucking clue what just happened, guys." Every time, I've got no idea what happened.
It just
Not a
happened.
clue.
It just
Just-
happened. I
just
don't know how. I don't know why. It just did.
I find it really funny that he's got no explanation for anything that happened. He has no idea.
I'd be the
what's going on.
same. Like, I'd absolutely be the same.
You are the same. Whenever you crash, I don't know what happened there. How do you
Usually,
get-
I'm like, I shouldn't have retired from that.
How did I crash there?
What?
I did the same thing every lap. This is actually what you say every time. You say, I did the same thing last lap and it was
No, I
fine.
do not say that. That is Oh, who is it that says that? That's not me.
It is you.
It's not me.
You said that. You've definitely said that before.
I think that's you, Aiden. I think it's you that says that.
It's
I think
not me.
I think you're projecting your own faults onto me.
Project. I just don't crash.
DJ, you
What
enjoying
about-
their bickering?
I don't
it's
crash.
brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant.
It's
Well,
TJ.
just
He's the
well,
one who
just
crashed
address
all the time.
TJ.
I had class at Formula 1, but... Right. Anyways, enough of you and not.
TJ crashes. He glances up at the top left, see who's near him and who he can blame. It was Omega. It was Omega.
Did you
Right.
see how TJ was so
Anyways,
quick to change the
anyways.
topic after we started talking about his
Anyways.
crashes?
Moving on swiftly.
We're going on to the standings now. Charles Leclerc still on top after Saudi Arabia. 12
You
points
say his
clear.
name so Welsh.
What? Charles Leclerc.
No one said, you don't have a C at the end.
Yeah, that's who you say it is, Charles Leclerc.
It's
No,
it's
Chat
Leclerc.
left.
Anyway,
Leclerc.
keep going.
He's 12 points ahead of Sainz right now, and Ferrari are 40 points clear in the constructors.
40
Of
points.
Mercedes, aren't they? They're 40 points clear
Yeah.
from Mercedes.
Red Bull are third.
With how many
One
behind
point
Ferrari
from
and Red Bull?
Hamilton
It's 41.
is they're 1 point behind Mercedes basically.
If Russell's ahead of
Oh,
Hamilton,
cool.
isn't he now?
Yeah, Russell.
I
is
would
fourth,
assume so.
Hamilton fifth.
Oh, I always
Yeah.
told you Russell was going to beat him, didn't I, Carsey?
We're 2 races in.
Yeah, but he is clear. He's clearly way better.
Oh, the season's over.
Stop the
Season's
count.
over.
Champion.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you could stop the season right now. I'd be very happy with a result.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Not for Norris. Not for Norris.
No, I wouldn't want to see
Oh,
Vettel
Vettel.
last.
Verstappen.
I would
He's
not
not
want to see
gonna
Vettel
Vettel.
last.
Vettel last, and
Who gives a
Like-
fuck? Like he's gonna be fucking like 18th anyway. Like his
Aston
Aston
Martin
Martin is so. I
that,
can't
Ast-
tell
that
how dead
Aston
it is, if it's
Martin.
just because of
is
Stroll and
designed-
Hulkenberg, or if it's actually.
No, that
Vettel.
Aston Martin is designed perfectly for Vettel's driving style. He's going to come back and he's going to win every single race from now on
I believe
until the end
so.
of the season.
I would agree.
That
Is
is
he gonna
I'm
do it?
holding
He's
out
gonna beat
hope.
his 2013 record. He's gonna do like 12 in a row or something.
Yeah, that's
no.
correct.
He's gonna do 21 in a row.
So how many we've got left?
Yeah, he's going to do 21 in a row.
21 race. Fucking hell, so
Right
long.
now,
Fucking
Vettel
long, isn't it?
is lower in the standings than Nicholas Latifi. What's your thoughts on that, Carson?
That's because he hasn't raced. You
He
clown.
hasn't raced yet.
No shit, TJ.
If you
No,
dare
me, I don't
try
get
and
it.
slander.
What's your thoughts on Vettel?
That's like me as an
lower?
Arsenal fan at the beginning of
Lower
every
than
single football season saying, "Hey, we're leading the championship because of alphabetical order." Like, come on,
No one Bournemouth really, but no one Bournemouth really.
TJ.
Okay, they're beating
Repeat
everyone
what you
except
just
from
said to
Bournemouth, you
yourself and
clown.
tell me why it's fucking stupid.
It's not stupid.
No, their class is AFC Bournemouth. That's
Yeah,
why.
so-
Are they?
We.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Bournemouth aren't a Premier League, so
Ah,
it's not
TTM
relevant, is it?
Louis, you legend. This is my
What's he said
appreciation
for
for
it?
Louis for making our thumbnails for the entire season.
Oh, we love you, Louis. Everyone loves Louis.
Love
Little
you,
bit off
Louis.
topic.
Please.
Yes, Louis is a legend.
Louis, come home.
Louis needs to get on a race movie.
ETM doesn't appreciate you the way we did.
No,
Yeah, this is correct.
exactly.
Stonks can stay. We don't want him back, but
No.
and Ollie can
Why
definitely.
don't you want Stonks back?
No.
He's just not very fast.
Stongs is
Dusty
clear
you.
of you, mate.
What?
Not very fast. Not very fast. Listen, he's second in the championship, Carsey.
I'm fucking
Hey.
third. You don't have to be quick to
Yeah,
have a championship.
exactly.
I am away.
I have to
Yeah,
say,
exactly.
I think if you're not
Ryan
leading
should
the
be embarrassed
championship,
he's behind me in the championship. Honestly.
You know, when
if you're
Stonks
not
left
leading
BRT,
a championship, you're awful.
Yeah, this is correct.
Yeah.
Tejay, what's your opinions on that?
On what?
If you're not leading a championship, you're awful.
If you're not
See, I
leading the
don't think you'll
championship,
lead-
what? If you're not leading the
Yeah,
championship, what?
You're awful.
Oh yeah, if you're not first, you're last.
Exactly, Tejay.
Exactly.
Oh, you need to take that to mind
I know.
and
Sure.
start speeding up.
I am 14th last.
What?
Yeah, I'm 14th last. I'm 6th in standings. And I go by.
I haven't raced for 3 weeks and I'm still first.
Why have you not raced
I
for 3
deserve a
weeks,
medal.
Westy? You need to win me this title.
I've been busy, mate.
Well, stop being
You've got
busy.
15 point.
Be
cushion
busy
at the
with
moment.
winning my title.
To some French Johnny, I think.
Look, I've got. I'm still leading. If Nail, if you listen, I think that's how you say your name. Could you like back off and let me just win this?
Personally,
you.
I never count the French anyway, so I think we can remove it.
I think that's a good yeah,
Wow.
that's a good policy.
It's a
What
good
flag
rule to
do you
have.
run under? The white flag. Him and
I'm not sure. It
Mazepin
just
run under the same
Nile
flag.
Rio sounds very French to me. If you're Belgian or Swiss or something, I do apologise, but
Yeah. I think
or
that's
just,
Is there
or just from
anything
like
else you-
Sheffield.
Or Luxembourgy, or however you say that.
He could be like from Ghana.
Luxembourgy. That's where he's from.
Luxemburger. There you
I
go.
think we strayed somewhat off topic.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
Yes,
you want
Bit
to
of
discuss
slightly.
on episode 4?
Maybe edit this bit out.
No.
Well, that's
we
the
got Lewis
interesting.
appreciation here, but we got to let him know.
Well, we appreciate Lee.
Yeah.
We do
Right, is there anything
appreciate
else
Lee.
you want to discuss on this episode?
Are we going to talk about IFC or are we just going to talk about F1?
If you want to talk about AFC, go ahead.
I don't know if we could do it all
Well, there
roundabout.
hasn't been much because we've had a break week.
It's a good point. We
Yeah.
could
Can
do
we
a
talk
little
about-
preview for Brazil?
Brazil this week, yeah.
Yeah, preview for Brazil.
I mean, me and Carsey just did races at Brazil's in the last couple of days. I take a lot of comfort in knowing that
I
I'm
didn't
far
win.
quicker than TJ at Brazil,
Didn't win.
so that's given me a fair bit of confidence going into the weekend. But also, Carsey looked ridiculously quick at Brazil as well.
I'm
to be
hiding
fair.
my pace.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see that tier 1 race because, of course, I haven't been racing, I haven't been commentating either. So I really want to see this race.
That's good.
And
Always do better when you're
Last-
commentating, Westy, I've realised.
last race I commentated on, Hypes destroyed a BC boy. So you
Well,
know,
there's no hypes anymore, so
No hypes, yeah. Rest in peace, hypes.
no
Hypes.
Hypes.
Yeah.
hypes
need to
is
worry
no
about
more
hypes.
racing.
Why not?
He
And
left
they
after
felt bad
Baku.
about killing him,
You
so
should
he
know
left.
He
this.
was
He was like,
embarrassed when he left.
Oh,
He was like, "Thanks, guys, but bye." He was very
Yeah.
quick today, actually, in the race car. He's insane in Brazil. It's probably his best track.
He's beat my time trial.
get him back.
No,
Get him
you beat
back.
his.
Give him a
You just
redemption
beat his
arc.
now, didn't you?
I'd like
Also-
him to beat me, but...
Since
thought you just
when
beat
did
his car,
Since when did Kiwi get 12 points? I was there for
He
both
got a
those
podium
races.
in Abu Dhabi.
Kiwi. Did he?
Yeah,
He got third.
he was so lucky that everyone just died. Like, Viz
Kiwi
committed
got
a
thir-
homicide, and then.
I'm sorry, this is the same Kiwi that we were all saying will just be stuck at the back of the pack the entire season.
You know, he wasn't
No,
Horses
quick.
can-
he's good.
He
Kiwi's
qualified
was
last
lucky.
and then won. Not one. Finished third.
He's not okay. He's good. He's not that good now anymore. With no assists, he's not that good.
Also, can we just mention Carsey's consistency here?
No.
0 points, 26
No, I wouldn't.
points, 2 points, 25 points, 13, 12, 18, none, 25, 18.
In fairness, I've missed 2 races. In fairness.
Still.
I think
I've also
this
missed
is
2
unfair
races.
to mention.
I've missed 2 races, and 1 race I got about 20 meters from my starting box and died.
I've been crashing.
Yeah,
Russia.
that's true. That was funny. That was quite funny.
And one of those races was Baku, which I pulled into the pits at the end.
Yeah, same.
You still got 4 points.
Yeah, I would have won.
Yeah,
probably
because
won Baku
of how
for that.
many penalties people got.
I would have probably won Baku, so actually I'm very consistent.
Well done, Carsey. We're all very proud of you.
Yeah.
Well done, but you didn't win it, so shame.
Wait, can we have a look at Westy Dog's consistency in Tier 6?
Yeah, go for it. Go on.
To be fair, TJ is easily the most consistent of all of us. How many
Let me just
DRS
have-
is it for TJ now?
I crashed.
Let me just have a quick look
Go
at
on.
Westy Dog in Tier 6. Right, here's
Go on.
Westy Dog's title. 1st, 2nd, 1st, 8th, 9th,
Yeah.
3rd,
Yeah.
2nd, DNF.
No, I didn't race. I didn't race. I didn't race.
Finish. So there's absolutely no consistency there. I don't know why you're coming for me.
Mate, I spent the first 3 races, and I was literally 1 lap away from getting first in the USA. So I have you know that those first 3 races were the most consistent time I've ever had on this
Well,
game.
why didn't you just keep being good? Why'd you fall off?
Mate,
Why'd you fall off?
why? Mate, I before this season I was known as Mr. Inconsistent. What did you expect from me?
Well, you've got the name back. I'm not happy with you.
Look at my tier 5 season. Look at my tier 5 season from last year.
Well,
I
not.
finished 2 races and I got 8th and 3rd.
Yeah, nice.
And even within that race I got 3rd. I was almost lapped at one stage. That is how
That's-
inconsistent I am.
Right?
Impressive, to be fair.
Yeah, it's tier 5, mate. There's
that is
crashes
tier
all the
5.
time.
That's what happens. That's
How
just what
Has
many
there
happens.
anything
tier
else you
ones
want to
we got?
discuss related to Formula 1?
No,
No, I'm good.
Oh.
I think we've wrapped it up fairly
Yeah.
well.
We've been going for about an hour now, so I think it's time to wrap up episode 4. Episode 5, maybe next week, if people wanna.
Maybe after
Cool.
Australia.
Yeah.
I put
after
some
Australia,
questions
but
in.
Yeah.
Maybe after. Wait till Australia, I'd say.
Yeah.
Also, wait, one thing. Is everyone going to be watching Australia live at 6 a.m.?
Yes, I will be.
Unfortunately, yes.
I'll be waking up at
I do it
3:30
every
to
year.
be able to be awake properly to watch FP1.
I do it every year.
I hope that my Sunday League game is late enough that I can watch till the end, but that may prove problematic.
They just don't play Sunday League.
Nah, that's not an option.
The race is like 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
You're
but if I had
literally-
an 8 a.m. kickoff or something.
8
Okay,
a.m.
what position do you play? What position do you play?
I play
Aiden.
centre mid, mate.
Yeah, you're not important.
It's a man who knows nothing about football. You clearly know
That's
so
where we ended
little.
there.
Mate,
That's
I
what
am
you
a goalkeeper. I'm a goalkeeper.
That's an important.
I'm
guy.
important. I know about football. A
If you
centre
have a
mid is
good
not
team,
important.
your goalkeeper isn't important. If you have a really good defence, you can have anyone in goal.
Not really.
Okay, we're going off topic now.
Well,
We're
well,
gonna
yeah,
end-
really.
We're going to end the podcast here.
How are you going to say a centre mid is not
We're going to
important?
end the podcast here. They're complaining.
Ah.
So,
You do nothing. You just run
love
around.
you all. Bye.
You just right, yeah. You